Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Ari, and hopefully you'll stick around for a quick video. So misgendering and pronouns are a pretty important topic within the trans community. Today I thought I'd talk just a little bit about why it's important not to misgender and what misgendering is and the effects that it can have. So misgendering is when someone uses the pronouns or gendered terms that refer to a trans person by the gender that they were assigned at birth rather than what matches their gender identity. So accidental misgendering can happen in a number of ways. I've personally dealt with that shortly after I came out at work and to friends and to family. So this type is when someone knows your proper pronouns but still calls you by the incorrect pronouns simply out of habit. And it's the relearning process of them retraining to use those proper pronouns. Most trans people are going to recognize the difference between someone having a slip up and someone being intentionally hurtful. The best thing you can do if you do accidentally misgender someone is to give a very simple apology and self-correct. Something along the lines of, "I'm sorry, she said," and then move on. The longer you spend kind of agonizing over an apology, the more time that you're drawing attention to the issue, and that's not something you want to do. So just a quick, simple apology and move on. Another type of accidental misgendering is when you don't know a person's pronouns. That may happen if you've just met someone, if someone is more androgynous in their appearance. And the best thing you can do when you don't know is to simply ask politely. And if that feels kind of awkward to you, then consider going with introducing yourself with your name and your pronouns. You know, my name is Ari and my pronouns are she, her, hers. And that opens the door for the other person to give their information. The same rule applies if you mess up. Simply apologize and move on. If you're uncomfortable going through all of that, or it's not something that you know the comfort level of the person, then you're going to have to make a judgment call, and that does put you in the territory of possibly misgendering someone. But when you do, look for the obvious. If you're going to try to make a judgment call, don't go for things that the person may not have control over. Don't automatically look and go, well, do they have a little bit of stubble, or do they have breast growth? What you want to do is simply look at how they're presenting. If someone is wearing very feminine clothing and you are making that judgment call, then you would most likely go with feminine pronouns. But again, the safest bet is always to just ask. Another type of misgendering is called deliberate misgendering or intentional misgendering. So deliberate misgendering is when someone knows a person's proper pronouns but refuses to use them and instead refers to someone by the incorrect pronouns for the purposes of demeaning or embarrassing or insulting the individual. Sadly, I see this pretty often, especially in online forums. I haven't personally experienced deliberate misgendering in my day-to-day life, but I have seen it online. I have had it directed towards me. People who want to, frankly, try to be a bit of a smartass and will start off sentences with "sir" directed towards me. But it's a real problem for a lot of trans people in their day-to-day lives. People will give various reasons why they're deliberately misgendering a trans person. A lot of people will go with a religious defense of saying, you know, God created you this way or that way, and I'm standing with his creation. Now, I've discussed my religious views, my faith views, in the video Being a Trans Woman of Faith, so I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about that here. But you can reference back to the video. I'll provide a link. I don't know which side I'm going to guess and point up here and see if I'm wrong. And maybe it's here. I have no clue. But I'll provide a link to that video if you want to see what I had to say on this subject. Each individual person has to decide how they're going to deal with deliberate misgendering. For me, I make it very clear to people that they will either use the correct gendered pronouns or they can simply not talk to me at all. I'm not interested in hearing a litany of their reasons why. The fact of the matter is it's my life, and I decide that if you're going to be in my life, you're going to show me the proper respect, or you're going to be out. That may not be an option for all people if it's happening, in a workplace environment and you have to have a job, or if it's happening with certain family members that you can't get away from, or even if maybe you're living at home. So why is misgendering harmful? Are trans people just being too sensitive? First, because it can lower self-esteem and confidence. For those of us who deal with dysphoria and body dysmorphia, our body image can already be a struggle. Being misgendered only accentuates that dysphoria. It brings it to the forefront and has us running through all the things that maybe went wrong. Why weren't we perceived the way that we're presenting? And then we start going through the list of maybe it's something about our facial features, maybe it's something, about your chest and breast development. You go through a list and you start tearing your physical appearance apart, which is not a healthy thing when you already may be struggling with dysphoria related to your physical appearance. Another huge risk is that you may inadvertently or purposefully out a person when you're misgendering them. And depending on the environment, that may open the trans person up for harassment and even physical violence. Regardless of the circumstances, coming out is a personal decision. Each individual is entitled to decide when, where, or if they'll come out at all. Now, a lot of people scoff at the idea of misgendering as a form of violence. Trans activists talking about the issue have been called snowflakes. People have claimed that that means they don't support free speech, and that's not at all what it's about. And as far as that goes, I will say, add mine to the voices saying that misgendering truly is a form of violence. So why violence? Might that possibly be too strong of a word? No, I really don't think it is, because violence isn't always just the act of physically harming someone. And misgendering, especially deliberate misgendering with the purposes of demeaning and demoralizing, have a real-world effect. They have an effect on mental health. That has an effect on physical health. You have the possibility of outing someone. You have opening them up to harassment and acts of physical violence. So misgendering opens up a great deal of threats to a trans person, both from the inside out. And that's why I will say it is a form of violence. So guys, that's pretty much the video for today. Hopefully you enjoyed and maybe learned a little something. If you're not trans, I hope that this gave you a little bit of an understanding about what misgendering is and why it is an important issue. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, click subscribe. We are looking at live streams coming up, so hopefully you'll subscribe and join us for some of those. In the meantime, I'll leave you with my quote from Kesha: "Don't let the bastards get you down. Hold your head up high as you're walking through life. Live authentically as yourself. You are worth it." Bye-bye.